Hi friends. Ew, that was gross.
We're going to dip our pinky toe into the kiddie pool as to what goes on in a vehicle upfitting shop.
Yeah. So vehicle upfitting is the process of taking commercial equipment such as these snow plows or salt spreaders or police lights or sirens or cages or partitions or consoles, and we place them into vehicles that you can buy just off of a lot from a dealership, such as this one. So this one is fresh from the dealer. This is one of the many cars that we get coming in all the time. And you can see this is the way that it comes from the dealer. So there's no console. The only light that it has is the spotlight on the A-pillar. They do that from the factory so we don't have to drill into the A-pillar. There's no partitions in the rear. It's just a bog standard seat, the same as this one, which is a civilian model. Other than that, there's not much to identify this as a police vehicle. The rims are a little bit different. It's the same engine, same transmission. They move the shifter up to the column. So this is the outside of our facility. The building itself used to be owned by Foster Wineland, who was a John Deere equipment sales rental place. And then the great flood of 2016-17 came through Ridgeway, and they got 2 inches of water in the office here, so they just kind of abandoned the place. So then I bought it in 2019 and then redid the whole thing, and then that's where the vehicle upfitting came from. Installed this nice patio that we had to rip up and the retaining walls because the well pump, the brand new well pump that I put in, shit the bed. So we'll start the tour kind of like in the office, and then we'll just do like a whole loop, I suppose. So as the customer would entrada the establishment, they would be greeted by our delectable, is that a word? Our nice waiting room here. So say you got a snow plow and you're coming from Pittsburgh or Buffalo, New York, or somewhere like 2 hours away where it's not really worth it for you to drop off your vehicle and then come back later. We would actually just have you sit here in these nice comfy chairs, read some magazines, watch some TV, what of it. So from there, we have Jesse's office. Jesse's in charge of all the marketing here, and probably way more than he should be as well. You can see a library of all our different literature, everything from lighting that we install on vehicles to snowplows and salt spreaders. So this will somewhat define, so say you come in here and you want a spreader, but you want to know how much it weighs. We can open this up and we could say, okay, this thing weighs 105 pounds without the mount. I mean, this is just one book of police lighting. Back our hallway here, we enter to the rear office, which is my office. Here we have the conference room. If you were a municipality or a larger department and we wanted to review the specs of your quote, some of these quotes can have 50+ line items on them, you know, even like dump trucks and stuff. You're going to have so many different line items, and each one can be optioned out to fit exactly how you want it. So we would sit at this conference table, we would go through everything and make sure it's exactly what you want for your build. And then we can also do like, we have a TV here with the camera on it, so if you were coming from farther away, out of state, something like that, we could do like a Zoom call, or Skype, or whatever it is, Google Meet. And then back here, this is my desk. I hate almonds. You can't fucking buy trail mix without almonds. So here's my collection of almonds. I have not decided yet how I'm going to torture them. I do not want them in my life. I will not let them go easy. I'm not just gonna throw them out. I'm going to torture them. Torture the fuck out of them. You cannot buy trail mix without almonds in it. Go to Walmart. I'm not kidding. They don't exist without almonds. So anyway, this is where I do most of the quotes and everything like that. So say that you call me up and you're like, hey, I want a dump truck, and you give me the specs of your vehicle. I can then take that and turn it into the truck that would give you the most functionality for your budget. This is our collection of bills. You know, if you somehow manage to make it to the top of the pile, I might pay it. If not, if you make it to the bottom, then you probably should send me another one because it's gone. Along this wall here, we have a lot of our the most common lights that we sell. So not only would we be able to pull from this to add the lights to vehicles if we wanted to add some more or whatever, but somebody could come in here off the street, say a volunteer firefighter, they could say, hey, I want 6 surface mounts to put on the grill of my truck, like blue lights. And we can say, okay, right here is 6 blue lights. And we can just pull these off the shelf, sell them. So moving on down the line, we have some windshield lights, some siren speakers, some backup alarms, some radios, some controllers, some more controllers, two-way radios, CB radios, external lamps, vehicle-to-vehicle sync modules, some mini bars for the top of your cab, more controllers, a smart logic flasher, these are rock lights or puddle lights, distribution block for wiring equipment, and then we have parts of my thermostat. I got one of those smart thermostats. It's kind of dumb. This is our demo board, so if you were to come in here and you're like, hey, I want to see, like, is a sound off bolt brighter than a Whelen T-Ion, and is a Whelen T-Ion flash different than a Whelen Ion, so we can, these are all programmed into this controller here, and you can somewhat see the different brightness and functionality of each of these lights side by side. Moving on down the wall, we have even more controllers, and then we have some vehicle products for cleaning the interior and exterior of your vehicle. Now we're getting into the section where we have all of our apparel. All of this apparel here, the pants, we have EMS pants, we have duty pants, we have work pants, we have, you know, it's the whole shebang. We've sold 3 of them. We have work shoes, we have work boots, we have shirts, and we have uniforms. And then if we loop back around here, we have, I feel like a tour guide. Here we have all of the, we have some grab and go Western parts. So these are all like, down there we have some bags, like that'll have miscellaneous parts that you'll use. That you'll want to have in your truck when you're out on the road. And then up here we have some discounted lights. And we have some tailgate spreaders on display, and over here a couple more parts and some pepper spray. This is the bathroom. SpongeBob. I spent a mighty like 900 bucks on this break room. I stained this all myself, you can tell, because it's done poorly. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. This is the bay where when we finish our builds, we'll put them here. We can take our pictures. We have these nice overhead lights that really illuminate the wonderful work that Austin is doing. We could also do some exterior details. John uses this space. He does all his ceramic coating, so on and so forth. This is a garage door. Here is our shelf of probably mostly garbage. So anytime that we do a build, sometimes we might have some old equipment that came out of the vehicle. It'll work its way here. Too lazy to put it on eBay. So, you know, someone comes in and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a siren controller. Do you have one? And we'll just give it to them. We don't need it. Couple lights, some Havas parts that we maybe didn't use or ordered the wrong ones. That kind of stuff. Some miscellaneous CB radios. We have a pallet of salt because we like to provide to our local town folk. We don't make very much money on the salt. I don't think we make any money, but it's nice. It's the Grom. More Havas parts. This is our welder. So this welder I bought off a guy up in Lance's Corners. He was some like drunk redneck that almost certainly beats his wife or girlfriend. I don't know. He was getting ready to like throw hands at her when we were there for no reason. He sold it for probably a quarter of what it's worth. I think he really just needed more money for Busch Light. So we have a very nice welder capable of welding up to 1/2-inch steel pulse MIG that we use on a lot of like our dump truck builds, our custom fabrication jobs, that kind of stuff. This is our lift. This is a, how heavy is this lift, Austin? 27,000 pound? 25,000 pound lift. So me and Austin got this up in New York. We got it used for a pretty good deal. I think we only paid 2,000 bucks for it. But the problem was it was 12 feet wide, 12 and a half feet wide, which is a lot wider than you're legally allowed to haul without permits. But we didn't know that at the time. So we were 12 and a half feet wide going down the road. We were taking up like 1.5 lanes. We almost sideswiped a cop car, but we now got this lift here that is capable of doing larger trucks. So when we get a class 5 truck in here, we're able to put it up in the air, safely do some work on it, install the plow mount, yada yada yada, whatever we need to do. Likewise with the crane, that's what we use to install truck bodies onto the truck. That's our TIG welder. We use that for stainless and aluminum. That's my toolbox. It's more like the community toolbox though. And this is our used oil furnace. As you can tell, it leaks. Well, it doesn't leak, but when we fill it up, we kind of spill some, and then when you're using it, you kind of spill some. On the second story of our parts room here, we have all of our Western parts. Not mounts, not up here. We have snowshoes, we have light harnesses, all of our lights, LEDs and halogen. And then these are our 3 bays that we use for vehicle upfitting. So this is the process of upfitting a police car. As you can see, we have 3 Dodge Durangos in here right now, and we're making them police cars. We need to put on like all of the aftermarket lights and the light bars and the partitions and the cages and the push bumpers. So let me show you some of the tools and supplies that we use to install our aftermarket vehicle equipment. We'll start with these 2 carts here. This cart is what we use for making wire harnesses. So as you can see, this is the loom that we run all of our wires into. It is a braided loom that helps protect the wire harness, and it also shows the end user that this is a wire harness installed by Utilitech because of its unique color. I hate orange. It's like our main company colors. This is all the wire that we use. Technically, for most applications, we only need to use 18 gauge wire, but we always use 16 just to be safe. As you can see, all of our wires are color coded, so we know exactly in the harness where each wire is going to. So red most often is power, and each one of these can indicate a color, as well as, you know, ground, so on and so forth. Blue wire to show that that is going to a light that flashes blue, or a red wire to show that that light flashes red. But I just said red is for our power, so we use a different color for that. I don't know off the top of my head. We have a chart. It's very sophisticated. But you get that in the QR code that we place inside the door panel of every vehicle that we do. Let me show you some of this stuff. These are all fuses up here. We have different size fuses and different styles of fuses that we use for various applications. These are all of our terminals for connecting or terminating wires. We use Permaseal terminals because they are water resistant, they are more durable, and hold up a lot better. And then these are all of our zip ties in the various forms for mounting wires. Nobody cares about that. We could cut that out. Over here, this is our cart that we keep most of our tools for. This is the
cart we use. This is the cart we use. This is where we store most of our tools for applying graphics. The liquids that we use to actually put the graphics on the vehicles, such as the cleaners and the applicators. And then we have our squeegees and the knives for cutting the graphics, and magnets.
This is our grease gun. This is what we use for greasing our plows. So as we're building our wire harnesses, we will label all of our terminals, termination. That way you know where each wire goes. So we'll use a device such as this one, or this one here. And we use either heat shrink terminal or heat shrink adhesive that can slide over top of the wire, or a permanent label that we can use to put on like fuse blocks, and that will show where that wire is going. So we can say, okay, this wire is going to the front left bumper light.
Then when anyone goes to work on the vehicle, they can see where the wire goes.
Do I have to redo that? Is it better like that? A couple different types of crimpers here. They're all rated and certified for the types of terminals that we use. For example, these cost, I think, like $700, just because every time that we crimp one of our terminals onto the wire, when we use something like this or the other ones that we have, that certifies that terminal is going to be properly adhered to the wire. These are larger crimpers for doing battery connections, and then we have some various other things in here like strippers, zip tie guns, that kind of stuff. The stuff we use for making harnesses. And then throughout the rest of the toolbox, we have our breakers, terminal strips, self-explanatory. I don't have to go through those. Some tape, fuses, miscellaneous grommets,
More plugs, I guess. Fuses. Nobody cares. Relays. Filers.
we won't talk about what's in there. This is the heater that we use for cutting our braided loom so the ends of the loom don't fray. As we're working on a vehicle, this is what they look like when they're in the process of being upfitted. A lot of the interior pieces and some of the exterior pieces to mount the equipment as we're working on it. As you can see, there's not much left. You can see this is the braided loom I was talking about. This is a completed harness that's ran through here, and then it goes down in, and then it comes out, and then it goes through there, and then it's like a whole thing. But you can see the different colored wires that we're using here. We've got the red and the blue and the black and the white. Very secured with all of our zip ties that are properly cut flush with our fancy zip tie gun. We'll shoot for a better one next year.